era, Stone Cold Steve Austin's entire act was chugging beers, and a rival who tells the entire audience they're a bunch of drunk losers, that he's better than every single one of them because he's clean.
Oh, he would have been a perfect like foil for like Steve Austin during that time, bro.
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
Yo, what up? It's Majay back in another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by Pilana. It's gonna be 12 wrestlers born in the wrong era. Yeah, man. I always got the vibe that Gunther was always like kind of born in like the wrong era. I feel like he should have been a part of like the 60s eras, because like I feel like he kind of wrestled like days in like the territorial days. He kind of got like the, you know, the mystique, the how he carries himself, calls himself the ring general. I feel like that will be so over with the crowd like from a long time ago. I probably guess like the rest of the list will probably be filled with, you know, people wrestling in the wrong era, or, you know, some of these recent eras that came out. Probably like, you know, some of these wrestlers nowadays probably will be belonging in the you know, the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, you know, all of those eras basically. But let's see what the top list that he got going on. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the wrestling videos. I'll be releasing these every day or every other day, so if you like that, leave a subscribe. But let's get it.
12 wrestlers born in the wrong era. Number 1, Cesaro. Cesaro is one of the greatest wrestlers to never win a world title in WWE, and it's not even his fault. He was just born in the wrong year. And honestly, there's two different eras where this man would become a legend. The first one is the 80s territory days. Just think about it. This guy could speak 5 languages. He could uppercut a 400-pound man out of his boots. He could swing opponents around for 30 seconds straight. And in the territories, Cesaro does not just become a star. He goes to Japan and becomes a living legend. Then he goes all around.
Oh, dead ass, bro. Like, this is like a really good pick for this this one. Cesaro was just so underrated. I'm really mad that they didn't pull the trigger back in 2013, bro. Instead, they just made him feud with Jack Swagger. Like, come on, bro. Like, when that team broke up, I was like, yo, it's about to be Cesaro time. But then, like, they stuck him in a tag team coming up for years and years. He was stuck in just like limbo in the tag team with you know, Tyson Kidd. Not saying that it wasn't good, but then again he feuded with Sheamus for a few times. Got stuck in another tag team. Not saying that one wasn't great. He was multiple tag team champion. But I swear it could have been way better. He a potential future world champion on the damn books. But you know, it was like the classic thing. Vince McMahon probably didn't see nothing in him.
Around Europe and sells out arenas, and he goes to Memphis where they worshipped pure wrestlers, and he main events for years. But if that's too far back, just drop him into the Ruthless Aggression era instead, because Cesaro belongs in the SmackDown 6. Picture 2002 SmackDown 6 with Cesaro instead of Chavo Guerrero. He fits in like a glove. That was the one period in WWE history where the entire show was built around letting the best wrestlers just cook every single week. And Cesaro would be having 20-minute classics with Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero every Thursday night. He is a made man within a year. Instead, though, he got stuck in the 2010s WWE machine, an era where Vince McMahon looked at him and just said he had no charisma. Number 2, Dean Ambrose. We don't have to imagine what Dean Ambrose looks like in the right era, because AEW already showed us. His name is Jon Moxley. Because here's the thing, WWE had an Attitude Era wrestler on the roster for 8 years, and they forced him to read some really bad PG scripts. Ambrose,
yeah, made him like read a bad PG script. I like his Dean Ambrose persona. It was entertaining to me, but like, they made him act like a fucking fool and like a novelty act for years. And then the reason of making him leave, you give him like a heel run and you make him on live national television get a shot in his ass. A needle in. Oh my god, bro. What the fuck, WWE?
was an unhinged, unpredictable brawler who cut promos like a guy who genuinely was not okay, and the WWE gave this man a hot dog cart, they gave him Mitch the potted plant, and they took the most dangerous feeling guy in the roster and turned him into a comedy act because the PG machine did not know what else to do with him. And then he left, and the second he became Mox, we all saw it. Now put that same guy in 1998, and Dean Ambrose in the Attitude Era is brawling with Stone Cold Steve Austin through a parking lot. He's in the hardcore title wars with Mick Foley. He's drinking beer, flipping people off, and saying whatever comes to his head on live TV with zero writers touching it. He's not a mid-card comedy act in that era. He's a franchise player. Ambrose did not need better booking. He just needed a time machine. Number 3, Gunther. Gunther's career right now is weird.
And I'm not gonna cap for him to, you know, just spread his wings in AEW. We could see the real Mox, because I think, aren't they TV 14 or something like that? And he could say anything he want. You know, some storylines may be bad. I've seen, you know, the limbo of the Death Riders all the time, but like he's perfect for that.
And I can't be the only one who feels this. On paper, he's done everything. He had a record-breaking IC title reign. He had multiple world championships. He even retired legends in the business, but something is still missing. For some reason, he doesn't feel totally special. I guess that's because of the booking. And another reason is that Gunther wasn't built for this era. Gunther was built for the 70s. He's a throwback to the days when wrestling was presented as a legitimate fight. He would have been the perfect opponent for Bruno Sammartino. Just picture Madison Square Garden in 1975. Bruno defending the title against this terrifying chopping machine from Austria. That is a program that sells out the Garden for
Bro, that is legit one. Imagine him back in the day ending Bruno Sammartino's whole 7-year, like, you know, world championship reign. That would be fucking like legendary for the books.
6 straight months, because that's literally how the business worked back then. Then a decade later, he's the perfect final boss for Hulkamania. Hogan versus Gunther headlines any 80s pay-per-view as a legit box office attraction. In the 70s and 80s, a man who could convince you that wrestling was real was the most valuable thing in the industry, and today Gunther convinces everyone and it barely moves the needle. So that's why I think he's the right guy in the wrong century. Number 4, Muhammad Hassan. This one hurts because we watched it happen in real time. Muhammad Hassan might be the most mishandled character in WWE history, and the craziest part is
the fucking timing on him was just so bad, bro. Around the, you know, those attacks in 2001, this was the most terrible angle ever, because they actually had this set up. The foreign gimmick was not like getting any like better throughout these years.
That his character was actually brilliant. He wasn't a foreign heel. He was an Arab American born and raised in the States who was sick of being profiled and stereotyped after 9/11, and that was the real story. That's a character with actual depth, and he actually played it very well. But the problem was the year. It was 2005, and the country was not ready for it. And honestly, I don't think WWE was smart enough to handle it either. So instead of telling that story with any care, they booked him in that infamous segment with masked men attacking The Undertaker. And it aired days after the London bombings. The network gave WWE an ultimatum, and just like that, Hassan was gone. He got buried by Taker at the Great American Bash, and we never saw him again. And the guy was only 24 years old. But if Hassan debuts after the PG era instead, everything changes. We're talking about a completely different WWE, an era that actually tells stories about prejudice and identity, an era where Sami Zayn, a Syrian Muslim, just won the WWE title while the entire world cheered him on. And Hassan doesn't get buried in that world. He gets protected, and he gets a slow burn story that he deserved. But instead, he was out of wrestling before his 25th birthday, all because he showed up 15 years too soon. Number 5, Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock left WWE in
just to imagine how like young you are, and then like you're forced to leave the company due to something that's like not your fault, just due to people having, you know, bad creative, bro.
1999, and the Ruthless Aggression era started in 2002, and that timing might have cost him a Hall of Fame career. Think about what the Ruthless Aggression era actually was. It was WWE falling in love with legitimate athletes. You had Kurt Angle, an Olympic gold medalist, Brock Lesnar, an NCAA champion, then you had Chris Benoit and Eddie who could really go in that ring. The entire era was built around guys who looked and wrestled like they could actually hurt you. Real amateur credentials became the hottest currency in the company, and now tell me who fits that description better better than the world's most dangerous man. Ken Shamrock was a UFC legend, an actual cage fighter, and the most legitimate tough guy to ever step foot inside a WWE ring, and he showed up in 1997 when the company wanted Crash TV, catchphrases, and chaos instead. Look, don't get me wrong, Shamrock did pretty well in the Attitude Era, but he was a shoot fighter in a sports entertainment world, and then he left for UFC again right before the WWE built an entire era around guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of like over a little whelming for him to arrive back in like the late 90s era, even though that was like some of like the best like time to arrive, but like I felt like it was for a different act. So yeah, what he's going on about here, saying like it would have been better in the Ruthless Aggression era, because we seen how Brock, like they had, they kind of handled Brock like at that moment, bro. Shit, you a freak athlete around that time, bro.
Exactly like him. Shamrock versus Kurt Angle in 2003 is one of the greatest matches to never happen. Shamrock versus Brock is a legitimate dream fight. It would have been a UFC WWE dream match, but at the end of the day, he was just 3 years too early. Number 6, Vader. Vader is one of the scariest men to ever lace up a pair of boots, and WWE somehow made him feel ordinary because he showed up at the single worst possible moment. Vader arrived in WWF in 1996, and that was right in that awkward dead zone between the new generation and the Attitude Era. The company was in transition, business was down, and worst of all, the locker room politics were at an all-time high. His big SummerSlam 96 main event against Shawn Michaels got changed because Shawn did not want to lose to him. Think about that. The most dominant monster of the decade came to WWE, and he got neutered within months. By 1998, he was literally cutting a promo calling himself a big fat piece of crap. They made Vader say that on live TV. Now rewind 10 years, and Vader in the 80s is the ultimate Hogan opponent, a 450-pound wrecking machine who does moonsaults. He would easily main event a WrestleMania against Hulk Hogan, and it would draw millions. Or fast forward instead and put him in the Ruthless Aggression Era, and Vader stiffing the daylights out of people while the announcers scream about it being a shoot would have been perfect. He fits.
Yeah, he got a point right here too. He does fit in well in the Ruthless Aggression Era. I mean, the 80s era too, you couldn't get that across because like they'll be amazed at a person that could just, be some big ass guy and like a high flyer, bro. So yeah, he'll be good for that era.
On either side of the timeline. Number 7, CM Punk. CM Punk became a legend by saying things that he was not allowed to say. Now imagine an era where he was allowed to say anything. The pipe bomb worked because it felt dangerous in an era where everything was scripted and safe. But here's the thing, in the Attitude Era, that wasn't a once in a decade moment. That was every Monday night. Guys would grab the mic and just go out there with no writers babysitting every word, and that environment is CM Punk's dream. And the character writes itself, a straight edge anti-hero in the beer drinking era. Stone Cold Steve Austin's entire act was chugging beers and raising hell. Now give.
Oh, he would have been a perfect like foil for like, Steve Austin during that time, bro. Like that would be so huge, bro. That would be like a good ass commodity just for like a back and forth. We would probably been talking about that feud for years if he was in that era. And then, especially when CM Punk just likes to say whatever he wants, WWE is just too safe nowadays. Yeah, I feel like they script a lot of shit and let you go off the handle and like, say limited stuff and get stuff off your mind. But like, because they'll know it'll go crazy on like social media.
Him a rival who tells the entire audience they're a bunch of drunk losers, that he's better than every single one of them because he's clean. In 1999, that promo makes Punk the most hated man in America overnight, and Austin versus Punk is the ultimate dream feud that could have carried the Attitude Era. Number 8, The Revival. The Revival's entire gimmick is that they were born in the wrong era. That's literally the act. Two guys wrestling like it's 1987 in a world of super kicks and flips. Like their slogan, no flips, just fist. And here's the frustrating part, they're not doing a nostalgic bit. They're actually the best pure tag team of their generation. Dax and Cash studied Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard like scripture and became the real thing. And the problem is they mastered an art form 30 years after the world stopped paying for it. Modern WWE barely has a tag team division.
Yeah, dead ass. This is they were in the wrong era too, bro. they got caught in like the later years of Vince McMahon's era also, because he destroyed the shit out of this team. Well, when they were in WWE, like I really wish they would come back and, you know, reestablish their, you know, their whole thing and show the WWE honest who the fuck they are, because I like them in AEW. They're like a good pure tag team. Like their matches were really fucking good, especially in WWE too. Not just saying in WWE, like in AEW also, they made the stake of their moment.
They were putting on clinics in an era that treats tag wrestling like a bathroom break before the main event. Now drop them into the golden era. The late 80s were the single greatest period for tag teams in wrestling history. Tag teams would headline shows. The tag belts mattered. The Revival in 1988 are not fighting for relevance. They're in the middle of the greatest tag division ever assembled, having 30-minute wars with the Hart Foundation every single night. Number 9, Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko was called the man of 1,000 holds, and in 1997, that was a nickname, but in 2003 or 2026, that's a main event star. Malenko was technically flawless. Every single thing he did in that ring was crisp, but he wrestled in an era where none of that mattered, and Dean was a quiet, serious guy with a crew cut who just out-wrestled everyone. So WCW just stuck him in the cruiserweight division, and WWE turned him into a comedy act. But
it's always the comedy act. It's always a comedy act. I guess like WWE back then always used to think comedy acts really get over. I mean, in a world thing where you just need to have a gimmick, it's annoying. I know. I think I said before. Sometimes like you kind of need a gimmick, but like if you probably get this guy, you know, something to work with, great feuds, that'll get over better than, you know, just having some stupid ass gimmick. Man. Well, if the stories are true, I like watch some of his matches over also, and like because I hear about Dean Malenko a lot, and he gets praise from a lot of wrestlers, so I want to go check out a few matches, and like he is really good. Like, bro, if you want to go watch like somebody that's like really good at wrestling, go watch a few of Dean Malenko's matches.
Drop him in today's wrestling world and he fits like a glove. Dean Malenko in AEW is a Blackpool Combat guy on day one. Picture him trading holds with Bryan Danielson for 30 minutes, or even him versus Will Ospreay. Then you got him going to New Japan and running through the G1 Climax. Those are dream matches that would break the internet, and for Dean, they would have just been a random Tuesday. Number 10, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt belonged in the Attitude Era, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let's look at what happened in 1999. You had The Undertaker, who was leading the Ministry of Darkness, and he was performing sacrifices on live TV, crucifying Stone Cold, trying to embalm people. Kane was setting things on fire.
Nigga, that was crazy. You got people hanging from crosses, bro. Like, they did a lot of crazy shit, especially with Undertaker, bro. They either I think they hung the Big Boss Man, and the Big Boss Man at the time almost got choked to death because of that whole little stunt in the ring. Man, that shit was just too fucking crazy.
You had dark, twisted, supernatural characters that weren't just accepted in that era. They were main eventing, and the creative freedom was unlimited, and the crowds ate up every second of it. Now put Bray Wyatt in that world, and you have the Wyatt family versus the Ministry of Darkness. Bray and The Undertaker fighting over who controls the darkness in WWE. And imagine those promos. Two cult leaders going back and forth every single week with zero restrictions. It might have been the greatest supernatural storyline in wrestling history. And then when it comes to The Fiend in the Attitude Era, I honestly think he might have become the GOAT. Number 11.
Oh my god, that would be so brilliant. I'm just a massive fan of like what Bray did as like a, you know, like with The Fiend, bro. They did his character such a damn disservice. I hate Vince McMahon for that.
Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is Mr. Perfect, born in the wrong decade, and I can prove it. He's got the blonde hair. He's an incredible athlete. He made every single opponent look like $1 million, and I would say that Mr. Perfect and Dolph are the same person. But imagine if you dropped Dolph back in 1988. He's not a guy stealing shows in the mid-card hoping that someone notices. He's the IC champion. He's dominating that division for years, having the best match on the card every single night against guys like Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, and Mr. Perfect himself. Number 12, Brian Pillman, and the last one is the most heart.
Yeah, and also if they really was serious about Dolph being a mid-carder, he would have had so many title runs as like a IC champion, bro. Build great storylines around that, but like around that time, shit was just so gimmicky.
Breaking one of them all, because Brian Pillman did not just miss his era by years, he missed it by weeks. Brian Pillman invented the Attitude Era before the Attitude Era existed. The loose cannon character was years ahead of its time, blurring the lines between real and fake. Nobody, and I mean nobody, could tell what was real with Pillman. Half of the locker room thought he had actually lost his mind, and it was brilliant work, and his chemistry with Stone Cold was off the charts. So imagine the years 1998, and Austin is the biggest star in the business, and his equally unhinged former partner is right there. I really think that Pillman and Austin would have broken the Attitude Era and made it even better, but unfortunately we never got it because Brian Pillman passed away in October of 1997. The Attitude Era officially exploded just weeks later, and the era he basically invented took over the wrestling world, and the man himself never got to live in it. Everyone else on this list was born in the wrong era, but
man, rest in peace to Brian Pillman. Like, if you got people really thinking that you're crazy behind the backstage, especially at the time where they really didn't, like, couldn't even get their hands on, like, kind of like knowing if you were kidding or not, especially, that means like your acting was just A1 at the top, bro. Like, Jesus, man. I feel like, Gunther was born, like for me, I'll pick Gunther being born in the wrong era, especially Brian Pillman being in the wrong era. I wish he didn't pass away, before that era really started. He could have probably still did it. Even though it was like kind of way before his time, he could have probably still did it, bro. That like Austin and Pillman, like literally just infamous as hell. They was like, he has a gun. Oh my god, bro! I remember when that shit cut off, and like nobody could even tell like if somebody got shot or not. But like, I honestly think that was really one of them. And Dolph Ziggler being born in the wrong one, overall great wrestler. His background was real. He was like a real wrestler. Like, I think he was like a real good one back in like college. I think college or high school or something like that. I'm pretty sure it was probably both, bro. He was going crazy. But hey, let me know what was your guys' top picks for this list, and let me know if it was really, really good to you. But go watch the original video, the link in the description. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 850. Catch you guys in the next video.
He was the best guy around.
what about the people he murdered?
What murder?